Okay, so we can all agree that bleed builds are the most annoying thing in multiplayer, and pretty much an easy way to cheese the game. If you use the mimic tier, of course. Even though this might be the case, I am not sure how easy it will be to beat the game using only the skills of said bleed weapons. But the only thing I know for real Can you beat Elden Ring using only blood? To begin with, I decided that instead of listing all the weapons and spells I'm allowed to use, I'll just say the main criteria for them. As long as I can proc bleed with this weapon, and the skill has an attack that looks like it's using blood, anything is fair game. So yes, it does include Morgoth's blade and the Darth Maul blade. But without further ado, let us begin. First things first, I made my character as pretty as possible, since you know a girl has to look stylish while bathing the world in blood. After which I was released into the world. The first thing I did was go to Fortnite and kill a fellow blood user in order to gain my first attack, the Blood Slash. Sadly, I forgot to stop and pick up the whetstone knife, so I went back into the ruins to pick it up. Where is my ability? Okay, so apparently my game deleted the Blood Slash from my inventory. I even double checked the fort to see if the knight respawned, only to find out that the whole place was completely empty. So I had no way of dealing damage now, since I didn't have enough arcane to use the Reduvia yet. So, I remade my character to be even prettier, got an edgy tattoo, and I named her something that will never happen. This time, I made sure to pick the whetstone knife first, and then I killed the knight. There you go. With the way to finally do damage, I just went straight to the Margit fight to show him who's boss. Turns out, it's him. Yeah, so the wind up for this Ash of War is absolutely abysmal. This meant I had just a handful of attacks after which I could retaliate. And annoyingly, the hammer jump, which is probably the most frequent attack in his second phase, was not one of those. Anyways, about an hour later and a dozen or so deaths, the first boss fight of the run was finally dead. Sounds like someone is a bit racist today. Before teleporting to Godrick, I realized that this weapon was not going to cut it, especially against some later bosses. So I went outside of Patches' cave to beat up someone cosplaying as an average anime edgelord and steal his lunch money. I mean weapon. The Reduvia, or also known as the workhorse of this run. Now it was time to fight Godrick. Godrick, as usual, kept being an embarrassment to the name of demigod. Initially, I tried to use the Blood Slash to beat him, which is very possible, don't take me wrong. But as I said, I decided to stick with the Reduvia from now on. Farewell, Blood Slash. You will be missed. This aside, the fight was the same old dodge his extremely hard to dodge attacks and run away from the definitely not annoying fire attacks in his second phase. As far as he goes, he was probably my easiest boss fight throughout this run. Now with the worst demigod boss out of the way, I went into Liurnia in the most cinematic way possible. Beautiful. After this, I kinda had a Romanian moment and I stole a key from a bird? I proceeded to use said key to get inside of the school and wreak havoc, mainly by killing the school's mascot, Pochita, I mean Radegon's dog. The Goodest Boy Ever was not that hard, but it still somehow managed to be a better fight than the Godrick boss fight. Now that the second best wolf fight that FromSoft made was done, I proceeded towards Renala, and after avoiding some balls, I was face to face with the Carian Knight. Imagine using Carian Spells. Couldn't be me. With the Carian Knight dead, it was time to fight Renala, queen of what the fuck is the deal with all the children? Anyways, I actually struggled against her. I know, shocker. Since I haven't played this game in like 2 months, my guess is that they buffed her stagger potential. Either that or I'm just bad. But let's move on. Instead of staying and fighting her without even getting closer to beating her, I used Godrick's Remembrance, after which I went to talk with the Iron Giant, who was more than eager to help me. And now with my weapon upgraded, which somehow made my blood do more damage, I made quick work of the funny hat lady. Somehow this upgrade made me better at dodging her attacks too. Either that or I just got good. With Radagon's Simp defeated, I decided that it was time to do the busy work now. So I started by going to every church. Not to pray, but to steal the yellow liquid that was on the altars and drink it. And also to get what was probably a holy relic because it looked cool. Besides this, I met the Giga Chad, and I also helped Alexander out of the ground. And I don't know what it was, but something about him made me really flustered when he talked. He's just such a cool guy. With most of my work done, I went back to the beginning, where Var told me to go talk to an old grandma who gave me a sack to put my food in. After this, Var gave me the ability to invade other worlds, which I had to do 3 times to continue his quest. And I almost managed to not embarrass myself. With this part of the quest done, I went to the church, not to pray, but to sew the cloth he gave me in maiden blood. Here I also fought a madman, just to prove that blood is a better weapon, and also that I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Nobody is mad here. After I took the cloth back to Var, he congratulated me with an audience with the Lord of Blood. Lord of Blood? But I am the Lord of Blood. After this, I don't know what came over me, and I kind of just killed him? But I decided to ignore this so-called Lord of Blood for now, since I was pretty much already at the farming place. Now that I actually had some income, unlike most people who bought crypto in the recent years, I went to get the other side of the medallion. And I also decided that I'll kill the dragon for some runes, since I had a bleed weapon this time. Unlike the last time I did this, it took me barely 5 minutes, instead of 2 fucking hours. And now my stats look like this. Now that I was in the Artus Plateau, I went straight to the Draconic Tree Sentinel. The boss was not hard, I just died once, almost killed him the second time, but you know what they say, 3rd time's the charm. Speaking of charms, before entering the capital, I realized that I had no actually good charms equipped. So instead of going inside the capital, I went to the castle that was protected by a very tough to avoid magic trap. Here, I had to fight the ghost of a horse girl. Loretta was not tough at all, as usual, but I discovered in this fight that you cannot apply bleed to ghosts. Which in hindsight, I don't even know why I thought it would be possible. Anyways, now with Loretta dead, Rani told me they needed a new jungler for their squad. Sadly, I had to accept in order to buy the charm that reduces FP consumption from EG. Now that I had some bling, I finally had enough confidence to take on the capital. Okay, that was fast. As a side note, this is the first time in all of my Elden Ring playthroughs that I beat Godfrey's ghost first try, so I was feeling pretty good about myself. Oh, I see. So this is where at the base of the erdtree takes place. So, I went to the Morgoth fight, following the words of famous modern philosopher Krone. Have confidence! No confidence. Okay, so I kinda did a bit of an oopsie here. Because when I went to buy the magic shackles, I saw this. Did you see it? Yeah, exactly. Patches apparently left for the Volcano Manor. And even though I will eventually have to go there, I was too lazy to go there now. So, this means that I had to fight Morgoth for the first time without using any tricks. And man, is it fun. If someone in real life could beat the shit out of me while looking this cool, I would gladly let them do it. Seriously now, even though I was stuck on him for about an hour, I didn't get bored at all, and it was really satisfying when I finally defeated him. The story from here is the same as usual. Be sad about what he tells you, get rejected by the thorns, just like your high school crush, and talk to the pretty lady so she can tell you where to go next. But before heading in the freezer zone, I decided that I didn't have enough bling. So first I went and got the Bloodlust in Vicinity talisman. The guy tried to tell me that he also served the Lord of Blood, but as I stated before, I don't serve any lord. And since I was here, I also got the Mog Shackles in order to prepare for later. Even though I ended up not using them at all. The other talisman I got was Marika's Sword Seal. I don't have much to say about this one. Just go inside the well, look in awe at how pretty the area looks, and run past the dragon to get it. Now the only thing I had left to do was continue that hot pot guy's quest. Oh yeah, I have to defeat Radan. Thankfully, with the farming area now opened, the bell bearing that I forgot to mention, and the fact that I did go into the Alps to get the Rivers of Blood, I was pretty ready to have an epic one-on-one battle against the Star Scourge. Okay, so I beat him third try after getting him low in all of my tries. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a restriction on Rivers of Blood. From this point on, I'll use it against only two other bosses. I think one of them is obvious, and I don't know the other one yet. I also talked with the hottest man alive, after which I went to the lava pool, where I had a chat with him again. This chat made me really hot and bothered though, and I really don't know why. Okay, now it was time to fight the average Scottish man, and as my weapon, I initially tried to use the Dart Mole polearm. And it felt just like it looked, fighting a giant with a toothpick. After an hour of failed attempts, I decided to try using the Reduvia. Okay, so apparently I was very wrong here. I was thinking that this weapon would do no damage against him. So I pretty much wasted an hour on this guy. Anyways, as usual, I watched Malenia diss the erdtree so hard that it started burning, and I was transported to the calmest storm in America. Here, I got the 7 and 8 bell bearing before fighting Skinny Pete and Combo. Amazing game design from Soft. Thank you for punishing me for beating them in a fast and efficient way. Now what I usually do here is beat Sephiroth, and after that I do all the other demigods. But this time I decided that I'll beat some of them before fighting Dog Nameless King. First things first, I went inside Radan's hole. There, I lit up 6 party candles to fight a deer. The toothpick is really good against this boss, so I just did my effective cool looking attacks while he did his cool looking ineffective attacks, and I ended up beating it first try. After this, I got Rani her special cutting knife, only to follow her and get insulted by her. She tried ordering me around, but unlike other times, I was not about to let it go. So, as usual, I defeated Blight's evil brother, I passed through Malenia's Bathwater, and I got to the tamest Eldritch Horror monster. For this boss, I used the same weapon as before, and damn did it work well. I got it stunned 2 times, got the bleed proc a bunch of times, and as a cherry on top, I also did some pretty good damage. You insulted me. Now stay there and rot with your fingers, you witch. Now let's get it over already with the easy bosses, shall we? So, I beat up 2 angry chickens using the Reduvia, and I got to Fia. I kicked the crap out of her champions, and she rewarded me with a hug. Afterwards, I went inside her to fight a dragon. As a side note, I really wanted to use Morgoth's weapon, and I don't know if the weapon is simply absolute trash, or if they buffed this dragon since I last played, but I actually had to think and pay attention to the fight, instead of spamming attacks between its legs. Yikes. Now that everything that was easy was dealt with, it was time for the actual pain to begin. And I decided to start with an actual entertaining dragon battle. And surprisingly, I actually had a strategy for this fight. I was going to use the Reduvia until I got a bleed proc. Then, I would switch to Morgoth's Fade Knife and use the Ash of War until they got staggered. After which, I used the Reduvia again until I got them down. Jokes aside, this was a really tough fight, and still one of my favorites in the game. Now, I was ready to go defeat the average edgelord, but I decided to first go to the Volcano Manor and tie up one loose end. Yeah, like anyone would fall for that. As usual, I just ignored everything, gunned down the skinniest American, and I got to Longjorn the Giant. When it comes to this boss, I found out that the Reduvia is really good against his first phase. Like, you could easily defeat his first phase with it good. The problem reared its ugly head in his second phase though. When he stops getting its head close to you and he starts doing only sword attacks, and the Cheeto speed when you are far away from him. I didn't give up though, and I found a strategy that kinda worked, but not really. So yeah, after an hour of trying this strategy, I settled on taking his first phase down with the Tootie Boy and doing his second phase in the proper way. You know, one day I might actually completely finish a challenge on this channel. That aside, it was time to progress now, so I went to beat Malekith and steal the Rune of Death. He was surprisingly harder to beat than in my other challenges. But not because his health was good. Far from it actually. It's just that the Reduvia, compared to what I used in my previous challenges, has a bit of a startup animation before its fast attacks. Thankfully, it made up for this with range, and I managed to beat him after a few tries. Now that I had the possibility to truly kill gods, yeah, because I was just tickling them before apparently, I decided that I would go to the High League tree to actually beat Malenia for once. The path was just the same as always. Kill a recycled, but not really recycled boss fight, and go to the Albanoric village and talk to the guy with weak knees, arms heavy, vomit in his sweater already, mom spaghetti, in order to earn a free pass to Mikola's exclusive club. Wow, the atmosphere in this place is pretty dead. I got to Malenia. I couldn't beat her, so I had to seek guidance. So I went to meet an old... This chat made me really hot and bothered though. Friend? Anyways, instead of giving me advice, he asked me to have an honorable duel with me. And even though I didn't wanna do it, I decided to honor his wish. Now with his shard and a little bit of farming, it was time to beat Malenia once and for all. Words cannot describe how hyped I was after beating her in the proper way for the first time. Fuck yeah. Even though I just beat probably the hardest boss in the game, I still had a score to settle against this so-called Lord of Blood. What a disgusting sight. Truly a mockery of the name of Lord of Blood. Come, false lord. Let me show you the true power of the Bloodborne. With Mog's defeat, I finally got the title I always wanted, and now it was time to finish this. First, I went and I upgraded his weapon. Shortly after, I put it to good use by first trying this guy. I don't know who he is. I barely spoke with him through the run. I guess he was important or something? Anyways, now it was time to fight the true final bosses and claim the title of Elden Lord. First, Godfrey. His fight was overall very fun. I tried to use the pitchfork, but in the end I settled to the same weapon as before. Reduvia, my beloved. I actually got to feel the second phase in this run, and man was it cool. I mean, look at him, he just picks you up and throws you. Such a cool fight. Yeah, you might want to take that back. Now, the only thing standing between me and my goal was a guy with no soul and his dog. And I was not about to let that happen. Oh my god! With the Elden Beast defeated, I sat on my throne, and now my plan could be fully realized. I shall bathe this world in blood. Okay, wow, that was something. I want to begin by saying that I'm sorry the distance between my last video and this one was so big. What can I say? College is a bitch. But besides this, I'm glad I did another Elden Ring challenge. Even though it might be my last one for some time, since I'm starting to get a little burned out. But what can I say besides, thank you all for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next challenge.